More than 15 million children and teenagers suffer from mental illness or a learning disability in the United States. In fact, these are the common disorders of childhood. It's no longer mumps, measles, or rubella. It's ADHD, autism, OCD. And what most people don't recognize is that most of these kids don't get identified and don't get treated. And left untreated, these kids have academic failure, they drop out of school, they're more at risk for substance abuse, more at risk for hurting themselves, and unfortunately, more at risk for participation in the juvenile justice system and in unemployment. I think what most people also don't realize is that 75% of all psychiatric illness occurs before the age of 24 and 50% before the age of 14. So as a country, if we want to really make us a mentally healthy place to live, we really have to address the mental health needs of our children, because either we pay now or we pay later. And according to the Center for Disease Control, we spend $247 billion a year taking care of these kids with juvenile justice and disability payments, and yet we only spend $240 million on federal dollars on research. That ratio is unacceptable if we want our children, who are our future, to really live the lives they're supposed to live. Resilience is something we want all our children to have. And in fact, every parent who watched their child start to walk recognizes how important it is for them to have some failure. They make a few steps, they fall down, and then you encourage them to get back up and to keep walking. If we run to them and say, no, don't walk anymore, it's too dangerous, they don't accomplish that important developmental task. And that's what we want all our children to have, even when they run into barriers. So specifically, if a kid can't learn to read because they have dyslexia, they don't hear the sounds of the language the way the rest of us do, they don't have the same word retrieval, but they have to be identified as having a problem, and then they have to get intervention that works in a timely way. And if that happens, what you're teaching them is, you do have a problem, but there's a solution. It's not a quick fix, but we'll get you there. And having that stick-to-itiveness is what's so important no matter what the diagnosis is, because you need to endure to get the practice, to get the success, and keep making the next steps. The Childmind Institute is actually dares to dream of a time where no child will suffer from a mental illness. And we believe that's possible with the proper identification, with evidence-based care, and with a public that doesn't stigmatize these children for having these disorders. I think resiliency is very, very important for being successful in life. I think that the most important thing a parent can do is recognize when a kid has a deficit, not pretend it's not there, not hammer it, but just be able to say, you're not really great at throwing this ball. You know what, let's go out in the backyard and we'll throw the ball 1,000 times, because that's going to make you more comfortable throwing the ball. And if you never become a baseball star, that'll be okay, but we want you to feel better about this skill. So what I would beg parents to do is, don't pretend that this is going to go away. Figure out what it is, and then help your child address it and work around it, work with it, but learn how to be an advocate, not only for your child, but to teach your child to be an advocate for themselves.